Hi, this is Sherry at the Intentional Home Podcast, where I share tips and resources to help you live with intention and purpose. This is episode number 15, and today we're going to be talking about how to use morning time learning to incorporate some different types of learning into your homeschool. So, morning time learning is basically the time during and right after breakfast. It's during this time that I like to incorporate some miscellaneous subjects, ones that we don't necessarily need to cover every day, but things that I just want to expose the kids to. So to give you some examples, this would be things like doing a composer study or studying an artist. Maybe it's going over vocabulary words. Maybe it's doing some type of a devotional study, reading the Bible, reading poetry, or memorizing poetry. Those are just a few ideas. And besides the Bible reading, a lot of these are extras that we maybe don't focus a whole curriculum on, or maybe a whole time slot in our homeschool. But they're extra things that we just want to expose the kids to, and maybe some drill work or some type of memorization that we want them to do. But we don't really have time to fit all that in during the normal part of our homeschool day. So we're going to do something a little bit different. I decided to set things up in a way that we can pull it out and use it during our breakfast time and be able to cover some of these subjects. So I'm going to talk today about how I set up that schedule. I'm going to talk about some resources that you can use, and some of them free, some of them you can buy, and it really isn't hard, and it can be kind of fun. And because you set it up yourself, you can rotate and get a variety of things from month to month. You can change things up, so that's fun too. So before, we would always read our Bible story in the morning during breakfast, and then I would read out of another book or two on different topics, and then when we'd finish those books, we'd move on to another one. Well, this past year, I decided to do something a little bit different, and I set up a loop schedule, and after we did our morning Bible story time, then I would use this looping schedule, and I would rotate the subjects that we were going to cover each day. So here is how I did that, how I set up the loop schedule. I love to use Evernote because I can organize things on my desktop and I can access it on my tablet. So I wanted to create my looping schedule in Evernote so that I could access it, just have my tablet with me at the table, and I could have everything I needed to know what we're supposed to do that day. So what I started with, I made a list of all of the subjects that I wanted to cover, and then I listed them in a loop. So for example, if I wanted to do some kind of art study, then maybe I would write down a couple of artists that I wanted to cover. If I wanted to do a composer study, then I would write down either books we could read, audios we could listen to. I actually got on YouTube and found links to videos and audios that you could listen to online for free even to study the different composers. One thing that I did this past year was we did a worldview. That was one of the topics I wanted to cover. Vocabulary and poetry. Those were the 5 things that I picked, but you can pick whatever you want to do. So you pick your subjects, and then what you're going to do is you're just going to rotate. So for example, in Evernote, here's how I have my schedule written out. At the top of my page in Evernote, I had a section for every day, and that said to read one chapter of the Child's Story Bible, and that's the story Bible that we love to read through with the kids. So every day, read one chapter of the Child's Story Bible and then do the next activity below. Okay, then what I did is I made a list of check boxes. in Evernote, you can have a little checkbox that you can add. And then what I did is I just made a list of checkboxes and I rotated those subjects. So I have art, vocabulary word, composer, worldview, poetry, vocabulary word, composer, worldview. And I just kind of rotated them. Sometimes I did the exact same order. Sometimes, like the vocabulary words, I think I repeated more often. But come up with some type of schedule, a rotating schedule. And then I just listed the subjects. I made each line stands for one day. So I just rotated the subjects and made a new line for each day. And then after the subject, then I would write the resource that we were going to read that day. So like for art, the one day I had scheduled to look at Van Gogh. And so I had a book with an art print and a little short biography. So for that day, I would pull the art print out and we would look at it. We would read the biography, and that would be our little extra morning time learning for that day. The next day, I had vocabulary word. And so I use a resource called Marie's Words, and I have some vocabulary words in a recipe card box, an index card box, and I have 2 words that we're going to cover that day. And then usually what I did is we would go over, review the words we already did, and we would learn 2 new words. So that was my learning for that day. The next day I had a composer study, and we were looking at Haydn, and I found an audio on YouTube. So what I did is I went ahead and I just put the YouTube link right next to that day, so that when it came time for us to do that day, all I had to do on my tablet was click on that YouTube link. It would pull up the video on my tablet. I would prop my tablet up for the kids to watch and listen. So it made it really easy. For the worldview, we were reading a book called Who is God? And so I just wrote down the page numbers that we needed to read that day. For poetry, I wrote down the poem book that we're reading out of and the page number that I wanted to read. So I hope that gives you an idea. You can basically, you pick the subjects that you want to cover, and then you figure out a rotation schedule that you want to rotate, and then you figure out what you want to cover each day for that subject. So, for example, if you have the worldview book that I was using and you want to read through that whole book in the year, then what you can do is look at how many pages is in the book, look at your schedule that you've made up, your looping schedule, and if you've gone ahead and created a line for each day of your homeschool year that you're going to be, and I would encourage you maybe not to plan a full 180 days, maybe more like 160, so it would give you some leeway if things happen, but figure out how many days of the school year that you're going to be doing your morning time, and then get your looping schedule all figured out, and then figure out how many days you're going to be covering that subject. And then what you do is just take that number of days and divide the number of pages by the number of days that you're going to be doing it, and that kind of tells you how many days you need to do how many pages you need to read each time that you do that subject. I hope that makes sense. So that is a part of, scheduling what you need to do each day. And on my list, I go ahead and put the specific page numbers, the specific poem and the page number that I want to read, the specific vocabulary words that I want to cover that day. And I know it takes a lot of time to schedule all this out ahead of time, but it makes it so easy. When you sit down to breakfast, you can just open up your tablet or whatever that you're using to schedule and look at what you have to do that day and do it. So there's no stressing out, not knowing what you're going to cover that day. So that's just some ideas of how you can set up those morning time studies. And like I said before, there are a lot of resources online for free that you can use. Like I said, I scoured YouTube to find some composer videos and kind of plugged those in by putting the links by the day that I wanted to watch them. But you can do all kinds of stuff. You could do science experiments and plug in videos for the kids to watch, on certain days. So you can do it however you want to do it, whatever subjects you want to cover, get creative and have fun with it. So just take your time, go through and figure out what subjects you want to cover, then look at what resources that you have or what you can find online that you could use for that topic, and then get it all planned out. And like I said, I like to use my tablet so that I have it with me at the table. It just makes it real easy because I can see our schedule. I can, another example, if you have audios that you want to listen to, you can load those onto your tablet so they're readily available to you when you want to listen to the audios. If you have, like composers that you're studying and you have either a digital or a CD or something that you could convert them to MP3 and put them on your tablet, then you have those right there and you can just open it up and play the audio file that you want to listen to that day. So there's lots of benefits to having everything all organized and as much in one place as possible. If I have books that we're using, like the worldview book or poetry book or the composer biographies or whatever, I have everything in a tub that's by our table that I need for our morning time learning. So just having everything all together makes it easy, and you can just pull out what you need that day and do it. So I will put some links in the show notes for some of the resources that I've used in our morning time. I'm going to put a link to a blog post where you can actually go in and sign up to download my actual morning time learning plans that I used from this past year, so that you can take a look at that and use it if you want to. So feel free to go ahead and check those links out. But I also, before I end the podcast today, I want to point out a resource that is available right now. Some of you have probably heard about it. If you haven't, you need to. But right now there is a huge homeschool sale going on. It's called the Build Your Bundle Homeschool Sale. And hundreds of homeschool curriculum publishers have gotten together to offer their curriculum at hugely discounted prices, sometimes up to 95% off. And so they have put together bundles, kind of by topic, some by age level, but you can purchase these bundles. And for example, I'm going to highlight one bundle today. It's the Fine Arts bundle. If you put all of the products that's in this bundle and you purchase them at full price, you would pay over $200. But you can get this bundle in the Build Your Bundle sale for only $19. And so anyway, it's a huge, huge sale. I will put a link to this specific bundle in the show notes so you can go check out that bundle and check out all the other bundles that are available too. But I wanted to highlight this one today because we're talking about our morning time learning. And a lot of times, some of the things that we want to cover are some of the fine arts things that maybe we don't have time to cover full-fledged as a full curriculum during the rest of the homeschool time during our days. But in this bundle, I'm just going to highlight some of the resources that are available. They have an introductory to art history. So it's by the publisher, How Great Thou Art. It's a 1-year program. It focuses on Christian worldview and a classical approach to art history. So this would be a wonderful resource you can use. It includes full color masterpiece cards. And so you could use those to look at artwork and talk about them and learn about them as a part of your morning time learning. There's also an audio book by Maestro Classics, Peter and the Wolf. That would be a wonderful option to listen to. They have Famous Artists Online Unit Study. This is another one. It's all online, so you could basically just use your tablet and log into this unit study online, and you can listen to audios, watch videos, look up things on the internet. There's everything that you need for that unit study is right there. So that would be a wonderful resource you could plug into your morning time learning. There's also a 100 Delightful Classical Music Pieces mini course. There's more than 100 videos included in this course. And so you can listen to these wonderful musical pieces from the years 1450 up to the present. And so this would be another wonderful resource that you could use to watch these videos and plug those into your morning time learning. There's one called We Got Jazz, Exploring the Pioneers of Scat, Bebop, and Swing. So that would be kind of a fun unit to look at for some different resources. There's another one called Renaissance Artists, and that resource also has videos and printables, biographies, lots of things that you can use to study the Renaissance artists. Then there's another resource that studies Renaissance artists called Fine Art Pages. This one is a fun one too because it includes a collection of 33 printable works of art. So again, it's a wonderful resource. You can print these out. You can pull them up and talk about them and look at them during your morning time learning and add some of this fun fine art stuff to your day. Then there's some poetry stuff. Great American Poets 1 and 2. There's 2 separate studies, and they go into studying these poets and looking at their poetry. So that would be another fun one. Families Learn Together, American History Art Appreciation. Again, another fun study to look at art history, and it looks like it has all kinds of discussion, lessons, looking at art appreciation, looking at our nation's heritage, just lots of fun stuff that you can do together as a family. And let's see, the last kind of thing they have in this bundle is they have some music stuff for learning, flashcards for learning musical terms and the symbols, the intervals and the key signatures. So if you're wanting to maybe add some kind of music education with your kids, you can use those flashcards and different things to learn the notes and learn some of the terms in music. So as you can see, this bundle, it's a huge bundle, and you get all that for $19. And if you go to the Build Your Bundle site, you'll see that you can actually, if you buy 2 bundles, then you get the 3rd bundle free. So, you can pair this bundle up with maybe another bundle and get the 3rd one even for free. So you can even get it for less than $19 if you pair it up with some other bundles. So just want to encourage you to check that out and see if there aren't some resources there that you maybe are looking for the new homeschool year. And like I said, this fine arts bundle is a wonderful bundle that you could just plug right into those morning time learning times, and you would be set for the whole year. So take a look at those. I hope that this has been an encouragement to you and maybe given you some ideas of what you can do for your morning time learning. And again, I want to thank you for joining me here at the Intentional Home Podcast. Be sure and subscribe in iTunes or your favorite podcast player. And again, thank you again for joining me today, and I look forward to sharing with you again on another day. Have a great day.